Hey, you said you were going to ask me questions.
That's where you just say hello. This is gonna be a shit show.
It's going to be a shit show from hell.
All right.
Hello there.
Welcome to the Buckingsbury Lemonade Podcast.
Welcome to the show, everyone. What's on tap for the day, sweetheart?
That would be The Mystery of Shaun Ritterson. And it is a doozy. A lot of turns and twists.
Well, here's what we know.
And here we go. On June 12, 1977, in Buckingham Township, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, George Childs and his son Mark discovered the lifeless body of Shaun Ritterson, a known troubled 20-year-old from Bristol Township, Pennsylvania. Shaun was known for having a history of running away, dropping out of school, and family issues. Shaun's demise added a layer of complexity due to her drug use. About 3 weeks prior to her death, Shaun had moved on to her own apartment. She was sharing this apartment with Richard Bones Gettings. Richard, a friend with a violent past, was discovered by police with a black eye and scratches. However, his alibi checked out, and he was eliminated as a suspect. On that fatal night, Shaun, in possession of heroin, was last seen leaving the Capri nightclub with an unknown man described by her cousin Jack, who was also at the nightclub, as being 5'8", slight build, around 140 pounds, shoulder-length dark hair, and a thin mustache. Jack, being concerned for his cousin, warned the mystery man to take care of her. He stated that he was met with what he felt was hostility. Shaun's social circle included men with distinct relationships, one who exclusively dated her only on weekdays due to a pre-existing weekend relationship, and another unnamed man who she always claimed she was going to marry sooner or later, but his name was never disclosed. Various suspects were considered and ruled out as the investigation unfolded. Suspicion soon turned to Shaun's uncle, Harry Ritterson. Uncle Harry was known to be a heavy drinker. He had a close relationship with Shaun, and allegations of inappropriate advances soon led to a failed lie detector test, with Uncle Harry accusing the administrator of tampering with the evidence. In 2012, Uncle Harry initially expressed a willingness to help law enforcement with a new DNA test, but later withdrew. The details of Shaun's death involve precise injuries. They hint at a knowledgeable and methodical killer. Lingering questions surround Shaun's potential pregnancy, the identity of the mystery man from her last night, the unnamed man she wanted to marry, and the possible involvement of Uncle Harry. As investigators delved deeper, additional details emerged, revealing a complex web around Shaun's troubled past, a dynamic social circle, and unconventional relationships. They all added layers of complexity. However, soon focus was intensified on Uncle Harry, raising suspicions amid allegations of inappropriate behavior. The chilling details of Shaun's demise, involving precise injuries and signs of potential life during the incident, they only add layers to this haunting mystery. Shaun Ritterson's story unfolds as a complex tapestry of relationships, secrets, potential motives. The search for truth and justice in this enduring mystery remain unanswered, echoing through the decades since that fateful night in June 1977. That was pretty gruesome.
Very.
It's like we were talking about earlier, though. I couldn't really, in that brief introduction, couldn't really go into detail as to how she was actually killed. They do think she was alive, but the crazy part about that is she was cut from stem to sternum. She was disemboweled
because they thought she was pregnant.
Well, that's a theory, but we don't really know if she told anybody that she thought she was pregnant. I mean, this is kind of like a weird Jack the Ripper thing here. I mean, she literally was cut open, her internal organs removed, and then a towel, from what I've read, was stuffed inside of her.
Well,
Well,
yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand that. I know they said that there was. Hold on, I'm trying to find out. Give me 1 second. But keep talking, and I'll let you keep
I mean,
talking.
to me, it's like a Jack Ripper thing. I know we've got a huge list of suspects and things like that, but I, I don't know. I mean, whoever killed her knew how to kill her. But the point of it is she was alive. So it's, who can you narrow down to who? I mean, like the guy that the cousin saw in the bar, the long-haired guy with the light mustache who kind of give him a dirty look. How do we know that he wasn't sent inside this bar by one of these other people that she could have been seeing, her uncle or the guy that only saw her during the week? How do we know that it was just not to lure her outside? Um, and let's play devil's advocate. Let's say she had told somebody she was pregnant. How do you know that, they've been arguing about it or whatever? He lured her out to that spot in the woods and gutted her like that. I mean, to to cut somebody wide open while they're alive,
Well, I'm thinking, I'm
that's like
still. How do
hate.
we know it's not the uncle? The uncle.
Well,
The
it could
uncle.
be.
The uncle.
Well, tell me what you
They
well,
had a
in your heart of
closeness, a
hearts. Okay.
closeness. It was strange for someone so young, and an uncle that was, they say at the time, 40 years old. It's also been reported that he frequented Church Hill, the area that her body was discovered,
Yeah.
and he liked
And we
younger women.
Yeah, he liked younger women. We know for a fact that he was involved in two different affairs. We also know that it was inappropriate comments that he had been heard making to Shaun. But if you had to pick a suspect right now, tell me why you think it would be Uncle Harry, and
Because
just give
Uncle
me your
Harry
your
was a
gut
dirty
your
old
gut.
man.
Very much, I believe so. But the other people in his family have painted him in a good light, said he was a good guy.
Because that's family.
Well, family is an interesting dynamic. And in doing the research, if you remember, we talked about this. We know that at the funeral, Uncle Henry or Uncle Harry was heard saying to his brother, Shaun's dad, "Would you kill the person that done this? Would you still kill him if you found out it was family?" And that's just weird.
You don't
I mean,
say
you
that.
agree?
Why would you say that? Why?
Yeah. Yeah, that's weird. I mean, why do you say something like that? I mean, and I guess in grief, you never know what anybody's going to say. It could be one of those things to where, in my mind, would it not been more appropriate, hey, brother, if we find this SOB who done this, let's string him up. I mean, but
And,
hey,
and
would you
um
kill him if they were family?
and they say during the initial investigation that the police questioned him several times, and he even took a lie detector test. And while the results they were never made public, detectives felt they had reason to believe they caught him on several mistruths. And he
Yeah, that's
denied
just a
any
fancy way for
connection
saying
to
he,
her
he, he
death.
lied. He failed the polygraph.
Yeah. And he has since passed away, and they don't have another solid lead. I mean, granted that place, as you said before we came up here, it was a bad place to be back then.
Yeah, that whole area of Bucks County was high in crime. I mean, it was the late 1970s. Crime was high. Um, and even you look at the people that Shaun had associated with. I mean, we know the last time she was seen, she had just used heroin. Heroin is a strong um, drug. I mean, it's not like you rolled a joint and kick back with your buds around the fire pit. I mean, heroin is some serious stuff. So she had to been, exposed to that element on more than once. Um, and it looks like, if you feel Uncle Harry did it, she couldn't even get away from it at home. I mean, you remember what you were telling me in the research? It said that she was promiscuous. She was known to sleep around. She would get in fights frequently. Um, all those things could be product of her environment, and who knows? Maybe all that time she's trying to get away from dear old Uncle Harry.
Maybe, and I've just seen this. It says that they remain skeptical of Uncle Harry's innocence and were ready to serve a warrant for his DNA test in 2013 before finding out that he had already passed away from a long struggle with cancer. They were able to obtain his DNA before the funeral and compared it to the brown head hairs found on her body, as well as blood left behind on a nightgown and sheets. Unfortunately, the subsequent test results were inconclusive. Sometimes after Shaun's murder, a monument was built in her honor, and it's a stack of 5 large rocks on Church Hill, about 10 feet away from the road. The police don't know who erected this monument or when, but whoever it was knew exactly where her body was found amidst the leaves.
That's somebody who feels guilty, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in that time frame, could the uncle have built that?
Yeah, probably so.
And
I mean, if rocks, the monument, how big is the monument?
it's about waist high to me. So, I'm 5'10", short. Don't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
About waist high to me. And it's a pile of several rocks. They're arranged neatly so that they could stack. And supposedly it's been placed right where her body was found.
Mm.
But the uncle had been asked to provide DNA prior to his
and he would not do it.
He refused to do it. And he agreed to do it, then he retracted it. And when he made the retraction, he actually had his girlfriend, she's the one that emailed the law enforcement agency and said that he wasn't going to do it. And why do you think that is? I mean, do you think he was afraid to give up his DNA? Do you think he was afraid that they're going to pin this on me and I didn't do it? What do you think?
I don't know. I still think you cannot rule him out. You can't rule him out. The DNA didn't rule him out.
No.
It didn't convict him, but it didn't rule him out.
And he's also an avid hunter who would have known how to, you remember watching the news clip, the guy said, gutted like a deer.
Yep.
Okay. So an avid huntsman, big Bowie hunting knife, fully capable of gutting her. I still maintain that whoever done this, if she was alive, who does something like that? I mean, that's like a Jack the Ripper serial killer thing.
Yes, that's somebody very evil. Somebody who has no conscience.
Yeah. But, at the same time, going back to what I was talking about at the beginning, I have 2 sets of theories about this. I'm not so sure about the uncle. He's the obvious suspect. There's a lot going on there. But hear me out a second. I've got 2 theories, okay? One is like I was talking about at the beginning. The long-haired, thin guy picks her up at the bar. It's a ruse. It's all designed to get her to another point to meet whoever possibly did kill her. okay? Because she probably was seeing a married man, or it could have been her uncle, and everybody's trying to keep everything on the down low and quiet, and nobody know anything. So you could have used a ruse like that, and this guy could have done that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then whoever she saw, there was an argument, and they killed her, okay? But I still think there's some rage in there. So then, what if this thin guy that nobody knew who he was, he couldn't have been. At first, I thought, what if this is her drug dealer? Okay. And we talked about it. But if that's her drug dealer, obviously other people there would have been buying drugs too. They would have kind of had an idea who this guy was. So I don't think he was a drug dealer.
Mm-hmm.
What if he's just some guy who picked her out of a crowd, sweet talked her, knew what to say? He picked up on the fact that she was over by the jukebox feeling all sad because that's where a friend said she was in the bar, and the next thing you know, she's leaving with this guy. What if this guy is the actual killer? And what if he is a serial killer and was manipulative enough to know what to say to this girl, what to say, how to say it, when to do it, to get her out of there? And who's to say he wasn't an avid hunter? He might not even have been from around that area. And that's the frustrating part, because I was trying to connect dots as we were researching this. Was there any other murders around at this time? And the only thing that comes close is a case that happened in Bucks County in 1984, where a fella actually killed his girlfriend with a hunting knife and gutted her. Okay, so but that's 1984. That's several years later. So this guy wasn't a suspect. There's no way he could have been. So that brings me back to this. You really couldn't connect the dots and see if there was any serial killing around that time that could have been in that area. What if this guy was a truck driver, just stopped in to get a beer, whatever, pick a target out? I mean, that's what I look at. I think that could have happened that way, more so than the uncle doing it. I mean, come on, let's say, I mean, look at it this way. As a father, do you think I'm not going to say something to my brother if I know he's overly flirting with my daughter? That he's trying to have sex with my daughter? Don't you think I would
Well,
say
let's
something?
see.
I mean, would you not?
They've got sitting here. James Thomas McCain was in prison. They investigated the alibis of several parolees nearby. James Thomas McCain was in prison for the murder of a woman 17 years prior, in which he disemboweled her and cut off her head. He had been released 5 days before Shaun's body was found when the authorities spoke to him. However, they found that he was signed into an overnight halfway house on the night of Shaun's murder, and his mental state wasn't that of someone set to commit another murder. Parolee Shaun Eileen Campbell had raped and murdered a woman when he was 17 years old. After being released from a Massachusetts prison, he moved to Bucks County. His interview showed that he had adjusted well to his release, and his previous crime was not nearly as brutal as the one committed against Shaun.
Yeah, but how do you know it wasn't as previous as okay? It wasn't nearly as brutal as what had happened to Shaun. Okay, how do you know Shaun wasn't his step up victim?
I don't
You know,
know. I'm telling you what
where
I've
you
seen
escalate.
right here.
Yeah, but I'm just talking out loud. That's the point of all this. I mean, how do you know? Uh, I get the first guy, James Thomas McCann. Uh, he's got a rock solid alibi. I don't see where this John Allen Campbell. Why does he have a good alibi? What makes that so special? It wasn't as bad as what the other one was. And then too, where's his picture? What does this guy look like? I couldn't find a picture of him. How do we know he doesn't look like the thin, stringy-haired guy from the bar?
I
We don't
have
know.
no clue.
So, but in your heart of hearts, we'll just circle back around to it because I went long-winded on mine. But you definitely think Harry is responsible.
No, I want you to. I mean, you think it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I do. And the reason being, it goes back to what I said a while ago. If you, they're saying that Harry making these sexual advancements and things like that were
Well, evidently, she don't have a daddy that cares that much either, from the way her upbringing and all was supposedly has been.
well, maybe. I mean, maybe that's possible. I don't know. I mean, I would be angry. I'd be like, look, dude, this is your
Well,
niece and my child.
this sounds like they're a different family. I'm not sure.
But
So,
I'm saying though, what if? Because see, in doing the research, it was a couple of her friends who said the uncle had made uh, the sexual advancement. Well, how do we know that wasn't just a 20-year-old being angry with her uncle because he wouldn't give her money for drugs or for alcohol, and she would say something like that? We don't know that either.
well, we're talking back in the 70s. He was like 18 and we could buy alcohol. Remember?
Well, I mean, that's true. That's true. But what about money for drugs?
Well, I think back then drugs didn't cost that much money either.
I don't, I don't know. I don't know. But I mean, in my mind, we know that whoever done this knew how to gut her. The thing is, why gut her like that? I mean, if you just wanted to kill her, to silence her, to keep her from saying something, like telling a spouse, hey, I'm having an affair with your husband, or hey, I'm pregnant. Because back then, if you got pregnant like that, I mean, it was even in the 70s. It was like having a scandal, you know. So, I don't know. I just can't get over the fact how
Well,
she was
see, here too,
murdered.
I found where it said that it's been reported that he frequented Church Hill, that area that Sean's body was disposed of. He
Yeah,
had,
he hunted there.
he,
He said initially that he wasn't familiar with the area. That's one of the things they caught him in.
so
That they
I
know he
mean,
lied about.
okay, why is he lying? Why is it? It's why lie?
Oh yeah, I
No
can't. I mean,
reason if you're not guilty. I mean, things may look a certain way, but in your heart of hearts, if you know you're not guilty, I mean, why lie? That's your niece. I won't know who did something to my niece.
yeah. Well, I guess for me, I'm playing devil's advocate to a point because everything does point to the uncle. But I guess in trying to make sure I put together all the puzzle pieces and everything clicks, and life has taught me that you will get thrown a swerve. And I'm looking for that swerve. What if there's just somebody out there who would have done this? I mean, this guy here in the bar, nobody knows who he is. Nobody's ever seen him. Where'd he come from? I mean, is he the killer? Um, was he a serial killer? Could he have been passing by? I mean, because a serial killer who was experienced would have been able to gut her like that. They'd have been able to do that. But you rule out, let's say the way she was killed is because somebody thought she was pregnant. Okay, let's just say that.
Even the cops were saying, I just read that too. I mean, the cops are saying everything kept leading back to him. They tried to rule him out. They kept trying to rule him out.
Yeah. Well, maybe it is him. I mean, like I said, I'm just
Uh,
I'm just presenting alternate theories,
They didn't
conspiracy
have
theories.
they didn't have the DNA. They couldn't test like we can now. And
Yeah.
I wish they could have saved something from back then, just so
Yeah.
we could know now. I mean, the family needs it. They need closure. I guess they do. I don't know if they want to know if somebody in their own family killed their child. I mean,
Well, maybe it's like you said, maybe they kind of had some suspicions, too sure if they did, they would have said something.
I'm
Um,
sure they might have took care of them in their own way.
yeah,
Sometimes
like most families.
that's the best
And then,
justice.
and it's like you said earlier too, when I said the family spoke highly of him and all that, and you said the Wooden family and how family is. Yeah, I mean they very well um, would still try to protect him. I mean that's a very valid point. So, but I, you know, we talked about all the suspects and everything, and we know that she was living with a roommate at that time, Richard
Yes.
Bones Giddens.
Yeah.
Okay, and she went to school with him. Do you think he knew anything?
Um. Hmm.
Because see, when the police questioned him, he was found with a black eye and a busted lip.
Yeah,
He
he
also
was.
said that he also said it was also stated at somewhere in there that him and Shaun had actually gotten a fist fight over an issue within the house. You reckon he's mad trying to get back at her?
And killed her?
I don't know. I
Hmm.
don't know. But he did have an alibi too. So was that just two lifelong friends getting in a fist fight over a disagreement when they both weren't in the right headspace anyway because they're both on drugs?
Probably so. And it could have been. And that was back then too. Men they didn't mind even back slapping a girl, and the girl would knock them upside the head.
Yeah, they're more prone to fight back then.
Yeah.
But I guess this is one of those things that until somebody steps forward,
And says what they know, because somebody knows. I don't think it's too late. Somebody said something to somebody,
yeah,
and
somebody knows something.
even if it's somebody who told somebody's grandchild, and
Yeah,
they might not never know. I hope they do. I hope they find out.
I do too. I hope
Because
everyone
it's a
has enjoyed
decades
our
old case.
podcast.
Hmm.
And it is a cold case that needs to be solved. And the whole point of us having the podcast is to put this out there that hopefully the right person will hear it, contact the proper authorities,
And I have
and
the number. If at the end of this podcast, I will put it
we'll
out.
go ahead and give it now because we're winding it up now. So go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and give
If
the number.
anyone has any pertinent information to help solve this decades-old case, please contact the District Attorney's Office online at www.bucksda.org or over the phone at 214.
Well, there you go, guys. Well, I think we're at an end now. It's looked like we're ready for a wrap. Anything you want to say before we go?
No, I hope somebody somewhere hears this, or if they don't hear this, I hope somebody somewhere has a conscience and somebody's family member will let them know what happened to their loved one. Because it doesn't
Absolutely.
matter, it's somebody's loved one.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, guys, we appreciate everybody listening to the
Yes,
Bucklesbury
thank you very
Lemonade
much.
podcast. And we will see you all soon. Have a good night, guys.
Have a great night.
Hey, you said you were going to ask me a question.
I guess when you just say hello.